So one of your priorities this year was to increase outreach to members. And we've started this Connected Conversations video series, and we've talked about a bunch of things. And for the next couple of months, we're going to focus on the characteristics that will make realtors and realtor leaders better based on the Wizard of Oz and the three main characters of that story. So as we get into these videos, we're going to be talking about brains or emotional intelligence. We're going to be talking about heart or empathy, like the Tin Man, and then we're going to get to courage and how do you have those tough conversations, and modeled after sort of the principles of the Cowardly Lion. And as we do that, and as we talk about these videos, what's your goal? What do you hope to achieve?
Well, honestly, and hence the green pen, if you can see that at all, but it's not so much the Wizard of Oz. I think things kind of just came together organically as I was trying to figure out my focus for the year and what I wanted to accomplish. And green being the color that I love, and I'm from the West District in Idaho. And so Nick, our behind the scenes guy, kind of jokingly said, "Oh, you're the Wicked Witch of the West." And after a good little laugh, I was like, actually, that's true. Not the Wicked Witch part, but the Wizard of Oz and the lessons that can come from that storyline and the theme. And I think it's so much fun to have a theme and to bring fun with topics that can be heavy, but really demonstrate everything that we do as an association and as realtors.
Yeah, when you think about Dorothy's journey through the land of Oz and all of that, what does it really mean to you? What does it mean to you as a leader and as a realtor?
Really, it's just a reminder of the three things that we focus on, which is heart, brains, and courage, and the journey that we all are on throughout our careers and life. And really, sometimes we try to keep them so separate, but they are interwoven with the relationships that we build. And hopefully we are learning to be better humans and ultimately better realtors, which then help our clients.
Yeah. So those characters in The Wizard of Oz are so memorable, and the characteristics that they display throughout the story really resonated with you. Mm-hmm. And I think in choosing that for your theme, you were hoping it'd resonate with members.
Yeah.
And so for this Connected Conversation, we're going to focus on the first character Dorothy meets along the way, the Scarecrow. And of course, the characteristic behind that characteristic, brains. Mm-hmm. But you've taken that sort of a step further, and you've really focused on emotional intelligence and what that represents, not only in the character, but for you as a leader and for realtors in general. So talk about, what does emotional intelligence mean to you?
I think emotional intelligence is important because you can have intelligence, but that doesn't mean you can interact well with people. It doesn't mean that you can walk in and read a room and understand when you need to not be talking and when instead you should be listening as a leader. And I think that emotional intelligence is I just don't think it's given enough credit and acknowledgement, because it really is, how do we walk into a room and how do others interpret what it is that we are doing or saying. And so the emotional intelligence part of that is that we understand how that's being perceived.
Yeah, that's a great explanation of it, and that understanding and how that translates in the relationship, not only with people you're serving, but then the people that you're working with on the other side of the table as well.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, why do you think it's important to realtors? Why do you think emotional intelligence is important to realtors?
Well, I mean, let's be real for a moment and just acknowledge that realtors are known for having a tad bit of ego, right? And when we have a tad bit of ego, then we tend to think we're the only ones in the room. And I think the emotional intelligence piece of that comes with an understanding that we aren't the only ones in the room, and we are having discussions. Now, I'm somewhat joking about that because because we are known for having somewhat of an ego, but there's also a lot of realtors that come to the table and they are there to help consumers and clients, and we work together to make that happen. But at the same token, it's how do we have conversations and how do we have respectful professional debate and still be able to leave the room as friends, right? How do we have conversations without us having to prove the knowledge we bring to the table or prove that we are even worthy enough to be at the table, when really it's just about the conversation and making things better.
Yeah. You know, when you're representing a client, I know that client's hoping that their realtor is representing them as zealously as possible, looking out for their best interests and trying to do right by them. But there's another party involved in that, and oftentimes there's another realtor involved in that. And going back to what you said about understanding not only the room but the people in the room. It doesn't matter how smart you are, but if you can't communicate or you can't understand the people across the table, you're not going to have a successful outcome.
Yeah.
And so give me an example throughout your time as a realtor where you've seen a really heightened level of emotional intelligence at work.
Gosh, you know, there are a couple of cases I can think of with a lack of emotional intelligence. And what I mean by that is sometimes some people just trigger us. We allow ourselves to get triggered in a way that maybe we respond at a heightened level. Like I can think of a couple of cases where I did not demonstrate emotional intelligence myself, and I allowed whatever was happening to elevate me, right, and respond in probably not my best light. And that does not feel good probably for anyone involved, including myself as the person demonstrating that lack of emotional intelligence. And sometimes people just have a bad day. And if you have that, if you allow for that grace, then I think you can get to the other side a lot better.
Yeah, alternatively, if you think about the Scarecrow as a character throughout the movie, it seemed that he was very contemplative.
Yeah.
And he didn't necessarily have that sort of knee-jerk reaction. So it almost seems that emotional intelligence starts with maybe taking that deep breath.
Yeah.
Maybe gaining that understanding through giving yourself the flexibility and latitude to have that moment, right? Where you're seeking first to understand and second then to respond. And it seems to me that that's one benefit I think realtors can really take from this portion of your program and your initiative this year is that emotional intelligence really starts with that deep breath.